Hello friends. In the last session, we have implemented the Redux inside our React e-commerce project. Okay, so we were at this stage in which we have on home we have products, and in the products we have multiple categories, and according to categories we have products, and we have a cart. Okay, and on the click of the cart, we will get the products count here. Okay, in the cart. So basic Redux is implemented. Now our aim is to create the proper cart and increment decrement of the quantity. Okay, so let's start with the code. Okay, so close this all. We will start from. Okay, so we will first start with creating some actions. Okay, so for that we will create a file called action.tsx. So basically all the actions should have be one place. Okay, so export constant and action name. Let's suppose you will have some action name here. Okay, add to cart. Okay, so we have the action name similar to this variable so that it will be easy to remember. Okay, and the second one will be first one is to add to cart. Then you have to remove from cart, and you should have one update in cart. Okay, so remove from cart, remove from cart, and another one, third one is update in cart. Okay, so we will have update in cart. Okay, so we have created separate actions which have 3 actions. Okay, now we will going to use this in our store. Okay, so we have the basic add to cart here. So now we will change with all 3 cases. Okay, so here we will change some architecture. So initial data will be like data. This will be array. Okay, so that it is easy to get from the JSON. And if you want to store anything, you can store after data as well. Okay, so now we will have to return the updated one. So here you will have to return the updated one. So you can return like this as well. Okay, and so you have to return state, whatever the original state is, and you have to return data as well. Okay, so you can return the data. So first you have to see that you have to return the data as well after the, so dot triple dot will show that it is the original state, and then it will return the new state of the object. Okay, and after that you will have to write like data. The next line we will write data, and inside you will have to use the old state data and the new one which you want to add in this array. Okay, so let's suppose we will pass the data inside this dot payload. So we will going to use that one. Okay, so add to cart is completed. Now our second case is so basically we will replace this one from the actions, add to cart from the action. Okay, similarly remove from cart, and here we will return return the state with the data filtered out. Okay, so we have to filter the data. First one you have to return same, just copy this one. Okay, and inside this you have to return the filter the data which doesn't contain the uh, ID. If you have some product and that one has an ID and you don't want to need that product with that ID, so you have to filter that one. Okay, so data dot filter dot filter. Okay. Let's suppose x is there, and x dot, let's suppose sq is the ID. So sq is not equal to whatever you want to pass from payload. So I will pass the ID here with the XL payload, and it will match, and whatever that ID will not match will return in this one. So the new array will don't exist, will don't have the ID data with that ID. Okay. So third one is case update, update in cart, and you will have to return, and the last case will be default. So you can write default return date. Okay. You can write like this. Now in update, what we have to do, in update we have two things. One have to increment the quantity, and one action will be to decrement the quantity. So for both case we will use the update. We will just pass the ID and quantity from the action payload, and we will just filter the data from using that ID, and we will increase or decrease the quantity accordingly. Okay. So for that, what you need, first you need to return simple state, and then in the data, what you have to do, you have to set the quantity if it matches the data. Okay, so state dot data dot map. Okay, inside map you have some record inside this, and now here you will write the case, like if it matches then do this. Okay, so if x dot sq equal to whatever the action payload action dot py and load dot sq. If it matches, okay, then what you have to do, x dot quantity equal to old quantity plus new quantity. So we will have new quantity inside this. We'll just pass from payload. Okay, if it matches this one, and after it return x. Okay, so if it matches, then it will update the quantity, otherwise it will return, means all cases, in all cases it will return x, but if it matches then only it will update the quantity. So quantity will be in -1 or -2 -3, or it will be +1 +2. So in both cases we will add. So if minus will be added, then we decrease the amount of quantity. Okay, so the work of storage completed. Now we will have to move from here to our pages. So first of all, in the header we have here top dot card dot length, and in state we have to pass the data. So state dot data will be the actual card value. Okay, and here you will have to use the action directly add to cart. Okay, and what is the payload ID? We don't need ID right now. We need full data actually. So the actual data will be, let's suppose SQ. SQ will be here. You will get all the product, single product detail, and we will get the p.sq, and we have to use the name. So p dot product name and quantity. So p dot, not p dot, it will be 1. By default in on add we will give the quantity 1, and on price we will have p dot price. Okay, so you can see our object is ready for the payload to add. Okay, so now it's time to test. Okay, so go to the product, add something. Okay, go to the cart. Okay, so actually the value is here, the cart has 4 items. Now our work is to bind that all 4 products here inside the cart. So for that we will use what we will have to use. We will have to use the HTML content to using the bootstrap to bind all the tables. So we should have table bootstrap. We will just copy the theme of a table. So to use the time, we will use just with the container. Okay, so inside the cart we will have data here, and we should have full container here. Okay, so we don't know now class dot name should be there. Okay, and here will be the cart summary, and inside that we have some t-head, so it will be id, name, product name, and quantity, and then to have price, and then actions. We don't need these two because we will going to create the loop. Okay, so we will have to create a loop for dot data for the card dot map I. Okay, so we will write this tr inside. Okay, now what we have to do is to bind the data x dot sku, x dot product name, x dot quantity, and x dot price. Price, quantity, product name. So can we check it here? Okay, props dot cart, cart has data. Okay, so we are not getting the value. Okay, so for that we have to check whether we are getting the data or not. So I think we have to change the add to cart action because we have changed the store format. Okay, so you can see on the add you will have to write all the object right. Okay, so in the header you can see we had created, so basically we don't need return here for the header, so we will just copy this one to product. Okay, and the header doesn't need this dispatch. So we will have to remove from this. Don't need any action in the header. Okay. So in the product we have type add to cart. Okay. Now we will refresh and we will add to product and go to cart. Okay, so the quantity is coming. Okay, and name is not coming and ID is not coming. Okay, so let me check. Do we getting the item details correctly or not? So item add. So add should have a parameter. Okay, so it will be called using the parameter and it will be passing the item, and here we will get product and then. Okay, now check it. Okay, so ID is coming, name is not coming, quantity coming, price coming. Okay, so CRODUCTD dot name. So write this to unique name. Okay, because we are binding the same product name, so the key should be same. Okay, so your cart is ready. Okay, now our next step is to add the action like remove and increment the quantity. Okay, so for that we will just use the theme of the button. Okay, so with bootstrap button. Okay, so you can use the button like you can use the remove button. Okay, so here on the TD we should have a button and class name equal to button danger. Okay, and on click we will call the drop dot remove method. Okay, and we will just pass the ID s.sq. So for that you have to write here remove with the parameter ID. Okay, so basically this is for remove. Okay, remove from cart. Okay, and this will be the ID and you will have to pass this ID. You don't need add here in the cart. Okay, so now in the UI if you delete see, if you delete fourth it is working. If you are deleting this one you are deleting all the record. Okay, so it is working. Removing from cart is working. Okay, now our next action is to add the increment decrement quantity. Okay, so increment decrement quantity. It is the thing. So we will just copy the button actions with the simple bootstrap. We will need only the simple bootstrap buttons, actions buttons, cart quantity in bootstrap 4. Okay, so you can see this is the increment decrement button. Okay, so we will just copy this one. Okay, so we will just copy from this to this. Okay, and we will create a separate component for this one called action.tsx. Let's suppose I am naming it action.tsx and export default. Okay, return. Okay, so we should have a small bracket here. Okay, and then class should be class name and input should have a loading tag. Right now we will use that. Okay, so you have to import the React here. Import React from React. Okay, so now your work is complete. You have an default action here. Okay, and we are naming it, and later we will have to implement with Redux. So const action button here, and here should have prop type, and we should have this one, and export default. So basically we need these all things to increment decrement for. So we will just copy from here, remove. I will copy from this into action. Okay, so remove from cart. Okay, so we should have connect. We should have here action button. Okay, remove from cart should be there. Okay, now we will have another one to update. So we should have write one another action to update. Okay, so it will dispatch the update card with SQID and quantity. So SQ should have the SQ and quantity. Quantity should have been. So we should have here ID and quantity, let's suppose. So we will just pass the ID and quantity here. Okay. So basically we will get the ID and quantity, and we will dispatch this one with SKU as ID and quantity as quantity. Okay. Now our work is to add this one here on the button click. So on click. So it is the decrement one. So dot update, and we will have to pass the ID. So action button will receive some data. Okay, so later we will define that. Okay, so constant, let's suppose item. I will take out the props from there. Okay, sorry, item from there, and then we will pass the item dot SKU and quantity as -1 because it is later we will have to update here as well. So we will come to later that one. Okay, with +1. So we will call this action button on the cart. Okay, inside the quantity. So we don't have to use this quantity here right now. We have to use the action. Okay, and item will be a props. So we will pass the X, and action button will be coming from import action button from common action. Okay, common action. Okay, so we are done, and we have to test whether it is working or not. Okay, so check with adding more. So it's not working. It's not working, and it's also not working. Okay, so refresh and check once more. Then we will go for the code to whether it is correct or not. Oh, no, it's not working. Okay, I think it's working. For me, it's working, but we are not updating the uh, real data here. Okay, after updating, we are not updating the real data value quantity. Okay, so that what you have to do here in the action. We have by default value here, so we have to replace this one with your updated value. Okay, so what is will be the your updated value will be passed as here as an input. So let's suppose item dot quantity is the updated one. Okay, now check for another. So we are not getting the value printed here. Okay, okay. So let me check what is the issue. Okay, item dot QAN. So we have written the wrong spelling. Okay, quantity. So now you can see it is incrementing, is working, and decrement is also working. But there is one issue that after 0, you can see we have minus like this. But the situation should be that if it will be 1, and if I will remove 1, then it will be 0. And if the whole quantity is 0, then it should be automatically removed. Okay. So for that, what we have to do, we have to write situation. Okay, so what will be the situation? See, item dot quantity. If item dot quantity equal to 1, okay, then you have to remove that one. So we will call the remove here and remove with the ID here only. Okay. So now what will happen? If the quantity will be 1, it will remove. Otherwise, it will decrement. Okay. So you can increase and see it is working. So we test with another. We have the 12th ID and we will just do like that. So to 12 is gone. Okay. So this is properly working. Okay. Okay. Now our aim is to use this one, this increment decrement action buttons. Same here. Sorry. Same here. After we click one add to cart, means if someone clicks on the add to cart once, then after the increment decrement should arrive, and if it will decrease then up to 1, if it will goes to 0, then add to cart should arrive. So we have to toggle the situation here. Okay, so for that what we have to do, see, so we should have to use this action there as well. So we have to import this action button in the same in the product one. Okay, and what we will have to do, we have to use this action and item here in the product. So in place of this will be toggled. Okay, so item will be the complete item. Okay, whatever the item is there. Okay, so now the thing is that we have to check whether the product exists in the cart or not. If the product exists in the cart, then we have to show the increment, decrement action buttons. If doesn't exist, then we have to show the add to cart button. So for that we have to write the check condition whether to how to check in the product. Okay, so we have to write the condition to check whether it exists or not. So for that we will write a simple code here. I will get the index props.cart. So is there cart here? So cart dot find index. Okay, if index exists, x imply x dot sq equal to item dot sq. If exists, it will return the index. Exist equal to, if I equal to -1 means don't exist, will return false, otherwise true. Okay, then we will use this condition. If exist, then show this one. If not exist, then show add to cart. Okay, so if exist, so this one, not exist, so this one. And another thing, we will use this index here to get the item. If it matches, then we get the item from the index of the cart. So now it's time to test. Can't access item before initialization. Product. Okay, it will be outside. Okay, so you have 3 items here in the product. You can see we have buttons here. Okay, so it's the width issue, I think. Let me check. This is the width issue, so it is not giving the quantity. So we will just go to our code and we will go to action and we will just give a simple width here rather than class name. Style width. Let's suppose 130 pixel. 130 pixel or 150 pixel is okay. Okay. So you can see now the quantity is arriving, and if you remove that, it shows the add to cart. Okay. So if you increase the quantity, Then it is incrementing. T-shirt 5 is for on 14. You can check on the cart area. T-shirt 5 is on 14. Okay. So if you remove, it's going to remove. Okay. So already on the product, it is working. For the home, it will also work because we have made the changes in the common component of item component. Okay, so you can see. Okay, when I see 3, we have 3. So in the cart we have 3. Now the last step is 2. So the summarized price means total price. So you go to the cart, and here you will have to show the total value after the table. Okay, so you just you can write detail, and here you will write props dot part dot. You have to use the reduce so that you can easily reduce this one. Okay, so you have a callback function here, and but you should have to get the edge now, and another will be the card product. Okay, so what you have to do is to return with the some value. Okay, so the basically what does the reduce basically do? It's basically combine all the, I mean, uh, add all the prices, and it will basically run the loop, and you will get the real value. Okay, so now what will we have to do? We will have to do the, okay, so initial amount we will set to 0, and here we will turn sum plus. Okay, so we have a quantity and price as well, so we will just convert price into number. So p dot price and multiply with p dot quantity. Okay, so we will have a braces here. Okay, and one more thing here on same, here we will also have x dot quantity multiply by quantity. Okay, so you can see you can show it in dollar as well if you want to show in dollar. Okay, so you can see we have this one. If you reduce, it is working. Okay, so the reduce is working with the quantity as well. So what is the issue? Objects are not valid key with key view product name if you want to render the selection. We arranged it. Okay, so this is basically the error of the, so we will refresh that one page and check it again. So we have 3 items here. We will remove this one. We will remove. It is working fine. Okay. We have done 3 here, so it will automatically show 3 here. Okay, that's the benefit of reducer. Okay, so the basic e-commerce project is complete. Basic thing is completed. With a simple mock data, we have created homepage with most selling products, or you can say recommended products on homepage, and a product with multiple categories filter. Okay, and we have add to cart button. with increment decrement, and we have a cart value with remove increment decrement value, and we have total value here. Okay, so this is the simple project. I think you have got the understand to create a project by yourself, and in coming videos we will discuss about the folder structure of Redux, and I will show how to create the folder structure properly with some index as well. Okay, in same project. Okay, thanks for this tutorial. Okay.